If I'm going to be a member, I'm going to participate and work and contribute to help make this club mankind's most stellar exploration organization. James M. Chester, The Explorers Club. As a member of the Explorers Club, a professional society dedicated to the scientific exploration of the Earth, its oceans, and outer space, Jim, with longtime associates, had the honor of carrying the Explorer Club flag to some of the deepest uncharted caves in this Earth. This is a tribute to Jim and fellow explorers. Keep his legacy, but don't forget your own accomplishments. Jim spent his early years in Lusk, Wyoming. Population 1,500. A small town that boasts 2 Explorer Club members. He was a strong kid. His mother, the only registered nurse for miles around, once sewed up a cut in his head with no anesthetic, and he never said a word. Jimmy, as his grandmother called him, was an avid reader, and he kept the first book he ever owned about an adventurous duck named Ping, who went exploring on the Yangtze River in China. In the 1950s, the family moved to North Dakota, first to Tioga, then to Crosby. He told stories about playing hockey and refloating an old sunken wooden boat he found down in Long Creek. He nursed an injured cowbird back to life, and when he'd hike or ride his bike, the bird would fly along with him, and then back home. Once he flew a kite for days, just to see how long it would stay up in the North Dakota winds. As a golfer, he won a junior golf tournament at the local Sand Green golf course. His most treasured possessions at the time were his National Audubon books. A move in the 1960s to Bozeman, Montana in the middle of high school was unsettling and disruptive. But it was there that he discovered the outdoors of Montana. He began caving in high school, and he never looked back. Jim was a complete explorer. He loved caving. He scuba dived, climbed mountains, studied grizzlies in Yellowstone Park, completed biological research. Organizations, publications, documentation, and writing were some of his passions. He was a member of the National Speleological Society before he was out of high school, and co-founded the Shining Mountains Grotto and the Northern Rocky Mountain Grotto, both in Montana. He and his colleagues were well known in caving circles. Ron, Newell, Rick, Mary Alice, Mike, Bill, Norm, Art, and Peggy, and many more were with him throughout his career. One of his first and favorite caves was Glory Hole, a cave that would be renamed the Bighorn Caverns by the National Park Service. He personally documented 48 visits to the cave, spent over 350 hours underground, including one trip where he stayed underground for 7 consecutive days. Cave names with a history that come up in his resume before he graduated from college: Horse Thief, Papoose, French Creek, Scapegoat Mountain, Silvertip Peak, and Lost Creek Siphon. He explored, he mapped, he documented countless expeditions with his NSS group and colleagues. They all worked together with the enthusiasm of youth. the spirit of "we can do it." It was a new frontier. No person had set foot in the places they were walking. They didn't know it at the time, but they were pioneers setting standards that would last for decades. Jim graduated from Montana State University with honors. And in spite of turbulent times in America and a raging war in Vietnam, he joined the United States Regular Army through an ROTC commission. His first assignment was in Europe, where his position of security control officer did not hinder his desire to continue caving and exploration. No one was surprised to find him using his mountain climbing skills to descend to the bottom of a well or attempt to reach the bottom of the deepest cave in Europe. His military commitment did take him to Vietnam. There, he was awarded the Army Commendation Medal and a Bronze Star. Upon leaving the Army, he went back to Montana State and earned a master's degree in fish and wildlife. As part of his field work, he took his family into Yellowstone Park, where he developed his thesis that studied human interaction with wildlife, including the grizzly bear. With intense curiosity, he immersed himself in every area of interest. Jim co-chaired the 1977 National Cave Management Symposium and was co-editor and publisher of the Alpine Karst Exploration magazine. He wrote for the Montana magazine and Skin Diving. Jim was active in caving and explorer groups in every place he lived and traveled. A lifetime of caving, thousands of hours underground, uncountable hours of reading and research, thousands of descents with an equal number climbing back out. When he wasn't caving, he enjoyed kayaking. His biggest adventure? He completed a mostly solo trip on the Inside Passage from Washington to Alaska, a distance of over 1,200 miles in 82 days. But again and again, he returned to exploring and discovery. In the book, Adventurous Dreams, Adventurous Lives, by Jason Schoonover, Jim, in his profile, said, "I nearly died in a cave in 1973, swinging at the end of a rope 100 feet off the floor under a hurricane of freezing water. Ironically, the most exciting moment in my 40 years of caving came not at the nexus of danger and discovery, but upon opening a letter that informed me that I had discovered a new species in a Montana cave." Jim was elected to the Explorers Club after being nominated by club members and explorers Bill Steele and Bill Stone. His application documented more than 2,000 hours underground, exploration, significant mapping, and leadership in well over 200 caves in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Kentucky, France, Spain, Switzerland, and Mexico. He analyzed and summarized the findings in over 26 publications that he either wrote or directly contributed to. Jim was recognized as one of the National Speleological Society's foremost cave explorers with the Bicking Award, the highest award for exploration, the NSS Fellow Award, Explorer Club Pacific Northwest Chapter Vancouver Award, and the Explorer Club Citation of Merit. At the Explorer Club annual dinner, he stood groomed and polished, or at least as much as a country boy caver from Montana could be. He dined on chocolate-covered tarantulas, alligator sushi, and rubbed shoulders with New York's finest in the heady atmosphere of the Waldorf Astoria. And 3 years later, he led the Explorer Club members to replicate the 200th Lewis and Clark expedition anniversary on the same path that Lewis and Clark had originally taken in the Northwest. Jim told a good story. He was fun. He was feisty. He demanded that people follow his rules. He retired from a long career working for the U.S. Postal Service. He kept the job for security, not for the love of the work. But it was the job that gave him time to explore. He loved coffee, had over 4,500 books. His car license plate had Seawolf spelled out on it. James M. Chester accomplished a lot. There are so many associates to be credited for his success. There are three that must be mentioned. It was Mary Alice Chester who began exploring with him in college, married him, and participated in every aspect of discovery of the wilderness of the Northwest. They had one son, Michael. She was an equal in exploration. Ron Zuber, Explorer Club member, walked virtually every step with Jim to the tops of the mountains and the bottom of the caves. Their lifetime of friendship set the standard for cave exploration. Susan Conrad, author and explorer in her own right, was with Jim when he concentrated on kayaking in the Northwest. He mentored her as she paddled solo the same inside passage to Alaska that he had done years before. All those cavers who discovered and explored with him took the same risks, understood the hardships, hiked the trails, and told the stories. In 40-plus years, he made hundreds of trips into this great American wilderness and always came home with new knowledge, another clue, another bit of information, or a hunch. And he always wanted to go back. His exploration was like a great song of music. It can play forever. He has earned a tribute from the Explorers Club, and his legacy is solid. His collections are dispersed. His equipment, while not in his possession, is still being used to explore and contribute. And that is just the way he would wanted it to be.